I had a great evening Friday with the bane of talk show hosts, the bane of letters to the editor overseers at the newspaper. And that bane is the name of a private citizen. Her name is June Griffin. She oversees every year for, I think, the 17th year now, the Bill of Rights dinner in Dayton. There were about 30 people who attended this year, a few fewer than last year. And you can read about this dinner at Nooganomics.com. I think one of my best pieces about the dinner last year, which took place, I think, just before President Trump had been elected, but he had not taken office yet. There was a great deal of excitement at that event, and a great deal of great sense of determination about defending long lost rights, in most cases, rights that are forgotten, rights about which people don't know, and of which they cannot really make a defense. That's the problem that we have today. And it took place at the Welcome Center in Dayton, and I arrived. I made a stop to put some money on my mother's burner phone. She's 94 years old, and Friday evening I was in the middle of a phone call with her, and suddenly it just died on me. And I figured, I need to put money on there. I always put $15 on her phone at a little Walmart phone, and so I had done that Friday. I stopped by the AT&T store to put $15 in, and I was very anxious about being late to this dinner, about 30 minutes north in Dayton. And there was a man in front of me at the kiosk, and there was a AT&T working man standing about. So I said, "Could you maybe help me? Let me pay a prepaid phone card, a prepaid phone here with you." And so he just couldn't make it happen. So I waited a little longer as someone else took the first man's place in line, and I had a nice chat with him. He let me in front of him. In fact, I don't know why he did that, but he did. And as a working man. And so I rushed up to that place in the dark. Now, of course, it's 6 o'clock in Dayton. Earlier in the week in Dayton, there had been a great success, and that is the prevention of a vote by the county commission of the police powers provisions in the state code that the commission was proposed to adopt, and thereby give snooping and surveillance powers there. But an entrepreneur named Joe Page on Friday notified the press about this, and the press made the press made a big deal about it, and published 2 fine essays about what this provision said and what it meant and the language in it. And there was a crowd of maybe about 120 people showed up at that commission meeting on Tuesday in Dayton, in Ray County, concerned about the overbroad language that Bill Holland was proposing be adopted, and then would give inspector powers in the direction of zoning. So Dayton, I've had some dealings with Dayton in the last week, and this was Friday. This was not work for me, though. It was just pleasure to go up there and deal with June Griffin. Now, June Griffin is 78 years old. I call her the matron of the Constitution, because that really is an apt description of her. And the piece I did last year about this event, as I said, is one I think that is a good piece of spot journalism that tells about that event, and it quotes many of the people who were there at it last year. I didn't cover the event this year as a journalist. I made some Facebook videos on Nooga Radio. By the way, we are on Facebook, and it's live at Nooga Radio, and we have that as our coverage of the event. I did not write an essay about it, partly because I was thinking, well, this weekend I have really work to do on a project, and it's a project in the direction of administrative notice, and here I am. I'm going to mention that administrative notice. And how I think it is a way of bringing security to ourselves. It's a process. Well, okay. This is David Tulis, and we are at 92.7 FM Nooga Radio and 95.3 FM HD4. That's digital, high definition digital. And if, just by the way, if you are if you're in the radio business, call me if you'd like to work for my company. Right, I run this terrific company, and it's Hot News Talk Radio, and we are looking for a salesman or a saleswoman. If that's you, do call me. Or if you know someone who's in the radio field and is looking to jump ship with a bankrupt rival company, just have them call me. Would love to have you work with us if you have radio sales experience. Getting back to what I was going to say about security. Okay, security. We have security when people in authority mind their limits. Right? If we have people who don't mind their limits, like police officers who stop people and don't Mirandize them, right? That's a continuing abuse in Chattanooga that Mayor Burke allows. There's a second growing abuse, and that is of the use of unmarked cars, unmarked vehicles by policing agencies that are I think under the nuisance. They fall under the nuisance statute. Unwarranted and dangerous. They are dangerous, and that is a continuing developing story. You could say that I just haven't had time to finish. Okay, so and I haven't had time to finish it because I, David Tulis, your host here on the David Tulis program, am a busy man. Now, the thing I'm working on that is taking up my time, and the reason I did not write a story about the wonderful Bill of Rights dinner Friday is administrative notice. And just backing up just a quick second here. The event Friday at the Bill of Rights dinner had a theme, and I want to tell you what the theme is just quickly. It's in the direction of who's going to replace the old stalwarts for constitutional government, like June Griffin, right? She's 78 years old. She's highly patriotic. You could call her an Americanist. I think that's probably fair. She has a friend, Carol Gaddy, who in 2016, or 2015, 16, and 17 fought the town of Dunlap against an unconstitutional search and seizure. And so these are a rare breed of people. Carol Gaddy is a little bit younger than June Griffin, but June Griffin at 78 is she's a pious Christian woman. She is a minister in the Wesleyan Church. And I think you could say in her Christian convictions, she's a perfectionist, which means that she believes it's possible to arrive at a state of perfection as a human being. We're all sinners. I don't hold to that doctrine. I think we're all sinners, and even the most devout Christian is a sinner all the time, and it's hard to not sin. Though the Christian would say that you're not a slave to sin, right? You sin incidentally, as it were, because you're in the flesh, and we have the problems of temptation, weakness, and so on, distraction, and these are things that make us prone to sin. But so June Griffin is a perfectionist. She thinks that you can really arrive at a holy state, and that, of course, is the goal. Every Christian would say, my goal is to avoid sin all the time, to hate sin and love God, right? Love obedience to God and hate sin. That's the Christian's main duty. And so June is. Who's going to replace June Griffin? I guess that's my question. And where are the people among the young who care about the limits on the state, the limits on the authority of the good people, right? The good people in Washington, the good people in the mayor's office, the good people in Nashville. Where are they? How are they going to learn things that June Griffin knows? I mean, June Griffin, who doesn't have a social security number and who's traveling in her car, taking care of her dying veteran husband, right? Traveling, I should say, from Dayton and their old furniture store there to the VA clinic. I think it's in Murfreesboro. And here June is. She knows a lot. She knows a lot about the Ten Commandments. She knows about the judiciary. She has real insight into the way the deep state works. And who's going to replace her? That's the theme of that meeting in Dayton, at the Bill of Rights there. Who's going to care about the Bill of Rights? Why are there gray heads there and not younger heads, smooth skinned, young people, people who are maybe not in the Griffin family? I did meet Hannah Griffin, and you can see a nice interview with her at Facebook. We are live on Facebook, of course. David Tulis here, Nooga Radio, and Facebook is a very convenient venue, though I know it throttles it's always throttling people. Facebook throttles like crazy. You have to pay. You have to bribe Facebook to have it take its hand off the neck so you can breathe. Right. That's what you have to do. And so Hannah Griffin gave me a nice interview, and she wants to go into paralegal work, and she's going to be studying at Liberty University. And she takes, I think she takes after her grandparents' views and her parents' views as well. They're a homeschool family. I think 5 children in that family in the Dayton area. So who's going to take their place? Who's going to replace me? Right? Who at this radio station is going to take the place of David Tulis? And who's going to care about things the way he does? Who's going to work hard on things the way he is? Well, to add to our security, let me tell you why I think we need to add to our security here in Chattanooga area. And then I am glad you are joining us. By the way, security is something that is important. And there's a city in China, Guiyang, where, according to Technocracy News and Trends, there's a story about a BBC reporter who kind of made a bet with the authorities, and the bet was that you can't find me. Okay, now that's a city that has total security, right? Total anti-gang security, just like we were proposing to have here in Chattanooga. And it's already started. We have because we have a war with gangs, supposedly, as some people say. We have a war with gangs. We have to have security over certain intersections. The bad parts of town, right? They get security first, right? They get surveillance first. Well, in Guiyang, according to Technocracy News, there are 3.5 million people and thousands of cameras. There are thousands of cameras, and so what happened is this: the police snapped the photograph of this BBC reporter. Let's say he's a Chinese person. Okay. Hard to see, right? Since they all look alike. Fed it into the massive facial recognition database, which contains the image of every person in Guiyang. Well, so the reporter tried to lose himself, right? Lose himself in the malls and the crowds. And the order was given. Okay, we're looking for this person. So the face was presented to the search mechanism, and it took 7 minutes before police physically apprehended him. 7 minutes in a city of 3.5 million people. Yin Jun is the executive of surveillance camera manufacturer Doha Technology. We can match every face with an ID card and trace all your movements back 1 week in time. We can catch your face with your car, match you with your relatives and the people you're in touch with. With enough cameras, we can know who you frequently meet. China has installed 176 million surveillance cameras nationwide and is shooting for 262 million by 2020. Don't we want that in Chattanooga? Wouldn't that make us safer from gangs in Chattanooga? Don't you think? Would that not be a good thing? That kind of thinking has controlled Travis Kalanick, who's the head of Uber. Wall Street Journal has a story this morning about the same kind of mentality. To sweep up rival information on rivals. He engaged people who were contractors who had been trained by the CIA, and this company spied on the executives of other companies, sent live video to then CEO Travis Kalanick in the company's war room, the story says. That summer, an Uber contractor allegedly began using hacked phones and signal intercept equipment to collect data about phone calls between Uber's opponents, politicians, and regulators. And then the Uber employees hacked into a rival system and guess what they got? The license, driver license, name, and contact information of all of that rival's drivers, all the people involved in commerce and transportation. And this has come out in a 37-page letter by a former official, former attorney of Richard Jacobs, the Jacobs memo, as it's called. And there's a story in the Wall Street Journal about this security. Well, do we want to have that, or do we really want to have something different? I think we don't want to have security like that. We need to have uncertainty. We need to have the fact that there are things that are unknown. We don't need to have people in Chattanooga. We don't need to have police departments who can match people by digital facial imprint. It's all coming, though, and it's all the promise is your security. You're going to be secure if we have this. I'd like to suggest that security is something that cannot be provided by the state. If you, my listener, on the David Tulis Show, think that the United States is in charge of your security, if you think that the police department in Chattanooga or Saudi Daisy or East Ridge or Red Bank is in charge, should have charge, or is given the responsibility of your security, your personal security, you are inviting the total state, right? You're inviting the police state, and here's where Christianity has great wisdom that is overlooked by people even who are professing Christians, and it's this: the state, the king, the civil magistrate has authority, but it is a passive authority. He is in charge of justice, not security. Security looks forward, right? Security looks forward to prevent things from happening, right? We have to have spies in every corner. We have to have harassment of young black men so that they will be submissive and obedient, and we can always search their cars without warrant and so on. We just bluff them and terrorize them, right? That's what happens to black. Black neighborhoods in Chattanooga are not afraid of gangs. They're afraid of cops, okay? Cops are the big fear source in Chattanooga among poor people and black people, okay? It's not gangs. Gangs, it's an incidental fear that people in black neighborhoods have of gangs. It's incidental. It's not pervasive, okay? The cop is a pervasive cause of fear in the black parts of town, okay, and the poor parts of town. It's not the gang. If we want to have security, we have to have the total state. We have to have the police state, and 500 cops serving Mayor Andy Burke is not enough. It's just not enough. We need to have 600, as Larry Groen proposed. I mean, Larry Groen, as a conservative, was a mistake. Okay, it would have been a mistake to have Larry Groen up there instead of a progressive liberal Jewish lawyer as the mayor of Chattanooga. Okay, because Groen was conservative, and he would have just stoked the conservative schizophrenia, which is pro-cop. A conservative shouldn't be pro-cop. He shouldn't be pro-security. A conservative, if that's you, my listener, you should be pro-justice. Now, justice looks backward, okay? Security looks forward. Justice looks backward. Justice looks to the court. The court is there, and it is open, right? The idea there is that it's passive. It's just waiting for disputants to come before the judge and the jury, if it's needed, to determine what the facts are and settle their differences, right? To make a wrong right by justice in the court. The court is there for justice. We have Chancery Court, a noble court in Tennessee. We have Jeff Atherton and Pam Fleener of the Chancellors in Chattanooga. Very fine people. Great. It's a great venue, great jurisdiction. Chancery Court. We also have Criminal Court, and we have Circuit Court for civil matters. The court is open, right? If you have justice as your goal, then you can't have the security state. And the biblical model, meaning it's in the Bible, okay, is that God cares about justice, and security is left to the individual executive. That is to say, the executive head of the family. That's the dad, right? The executive of the business. That's the owner, okay, or the CEO or the manager. It's left to the private executives, private security forces, right? So you can have a security officer in your business. Security is left to you privately. It's a private matter. But we don't have the state searching out all people and matching faces on database. We don't have that, okay? The biblical model is that the state is passive, the magistrate is passive. He has no power to act. He has no power at all to act unless there's a crime. And that's the common law theory. It's common law theory. It's a biblical theory. We have justice, and we should ask for justice. We should not ask for security. And the conservatives, the people on the right, the Republicans, they're the worst. They've adopted the progressive theory. In fact, the progressives on the left, they've gotten smart. They've backed out of that position. I'm reading Alex Vitale's excellent book. He's on the left. Alex Vitale, I recommend this book, The End of Policing. He's on the left. The progressives realize that the total state, the police state, corrodes all their ideals. It ruins their ideals, right? For society to remake man, for there to be goodness and virtue that comes from the environment. They are environmentalists. They're humanists, right? They think that there can be the end of sin by by social management. They're deluded, of course, but the Christians are the ones who've gotten it wrong. The Christians are following the conservative, pro-government, pro-state perspective, pro-police perspective. We don't want security. We want justice. And even left-wing authors, leftist authors such as Cupelli, they've got it right. They've got it right. And the right is wrong. The conservatives are wrong. We don't want security. We want justice. And I think that's the biblical model. That is the biblical model. Again, the left is borrowing from the Bible without giving credit. And you, my listener, if you're a conservative, just think this through again. Do we want security or do we want justice? If we want justice, then we have to oppose Neil Pinkston's injunction. David Tulis.
The Tennessee Valley's news